The votes are in, and the 34th hero to be added to Deadlock is Graves. Bringing the horde of undying cadavers to fight alongside her, it looks like both Kelvin and Victor now have some new undead friends. Graves is more of a summoner, a stat-drain damage dealer, with some incredible power in the right hands. A strong, unique weapon and a ludicrous kit that scales very fast with some key items. Cough cough, recharging rush. My name is Jackie Powers, and I'll be your host for today's Hero Showcase. So, without further ado, let's check out Graves. In lore, Darcy Graves is described as a teenage high school student who uncovered a buried hand of a lich inside of a graveyard. Following in the lich's teachings, she's becoming quite the fledgling necromancer, and between her studies at Blackmore Academy is working tirelessly to honour the dead and bring them peace. I'm sure nothing can go wrong from trusting a talking lich hand. Either way, let's get a closer look at Graves' animations and visual details. Her design has some very cool aspects. You can see she's sporting some coffin earrings, alongside having a skull design for her backpack and using her jewellery to create a skeletal face on top of her Blackmore uniform. Her jar of pickles that she uses for her first ability is a mason jar with hell decorated across it. Additionally, her voting poster has been updated to now display a skeleton bursting out of a grave with the phrase "Hell yeah" written next to it. Very metal. When it comes to animations, there's been some fantastic work done on Graves. One amazing detail can be found on the severed lich hand she carries around with her, acting as her weapon, dubbed the Teacher. This hand will physically display the amount of fingers that correspond to the ability Graves is casting. You'll be able to see the hand hold up one finger for her first ability, 2 fingers for her second ability. However, unfortunately it can't hold up 3 fingers as Valve was struggling to remember that number, so they just gave her a passive in that slot and skipped straight to the 4th ability. When casting her ultimate, you'll see the hand display 4 fingers. Such incredible attention to detail from Valve here. I also love how all of her animations for movement seem to be focusing heavily on the lich's hand. You can see the hand seems to be pulling her and propelling her forward with her dash and sliding animations. It feels like the hand plays a huge role in terms of not only the power to summon and drain life force from foes, but also for moving around with the sheer strength it possesses physically, throwing Graves around. Even her ley line animation displays the hand most prominently, with it pulling her upwards before she hangs off it and zips along. Some awesome visual work here. And if you're enjoying today's Hero Showcase video, I've got to ask, why not subscribe to Dead Air and get all the best Deadlock content on YouTube delivered straight to your homepage? Myself and Daisy are always hard at work making the highest quality Deadlock content we can, and love doing this full time. So if you want to support us both, please subscribe and consider joining our YouTube members program to become a Deadhead today. You'll have your name featured in the credits of Patch Notice and get access to extra content. Thank you, and now, back to the video. Up next is Graves' weapon of choice, the Teacher, the dismembered right hand of a lich, described by Valve as a burst fire medium range weapon. However, in practice, it's more of a beam weapon, similar to Lady Geist's life drain ability. It deals 4.2 bullet damage a tick at base level, firing 9.8 bullets per second, sporting a 40-round ammo capacity of energy, alongside a 2.8 second reload time. The weapon also has an innate 8% bullet lifesteal built in, and a 635 meters a second bullet velocity, alongside no alternate fire. Fall-off range for this one is unique, being over a period of 8 to 18 meters. Now, it takes a little bit of getting used to aiming with the weapon, as it's a direct lock-on rather than a free-fire targeting system. It'll latch onto the nearest target to her crosshair and cannot deal headshots. Because of this, Graves cannot buy headshot items at all. Interestingly, this is another new hero that has a visual lighting effect built into their weapon, similar to Rem's Candle. In regards to Graves' melee, her light melee deals 50 damage, with her heavy melee dealing 116 damage on hit. Her light melee animation displays a quick punch with the lich's hand, where she swings it at her foes, whereas her heavy melee is more of a spin, where she clobbers the opponent whilst twirling round, hitting foes in her path. Stats-wise, at level 1, Graves sports a HP pool of 700, with a base regen of 1. Her base move speed is 6.6 meters a second, with a 1.6 meter sprint speed bonus. She has 2 stamina charges, with a 4.5 second stamina cooldown, so mobility items can be beneficial within her builds. But now let's get into the details of Graves' kit. Graves' primary ability is Jar of the Dead. Throw a mason jar containing deadheads to summon a floating army of ghastly heads. Deadheads follow you around if there's no enemies nearby, and will prioritize attacking the target of your weapon. This applies for both players and neutrals. You'll notice they won't attack without command if summoned outside of the radius of an enemy hero, but will instantly attack if they have an enemy inside the AoE when you throw the jar. To summon deadheads and build up charges, you'll need to collect Death. Death is identified as these small green soul orbs that will now spawn in when playing as Graves. Collect enough Death and you'll charge up your next use of Jar of the Dead. However, it still has an overall cooldown. Deadheads will have a 7 meter search range and a 15 meter dash attack range that scales with Spirit. They deal 20 Spirit damage a hit at base level, and this will scale with Spirit at a rate of 0.3 per Spirit power investment. However, intriguingly, it seems like Deadheads are able to deal more damage than possibly intended. If multiple skulls hit the same enemy within the same tick when using both Quicksilver Reload or Mercurial Magazine, this will cause multiple procs, dealing additional boosted damage, resulting in an incredibly powerful damage nuke from the item. During the laning phase, if you invest into those items, you'll notice players dying very quickly. As for the AP upgrades, at Tier 1 you'll get 5 HP restored per pickup of Death. Tier 2 will cause a 30% slow for 1 second on hit, and Tier 3 will grant 2 additional deadheads per Jar of Dead thrown, and they'll be able to trigger Essence Theft, Graves' third ability passive. Jar of Dead can be very strong and overwhelming to deal with, so be prepared to kill those deadheads as quickly as possible if up against Graves. It's also very fun having the name Deadhead becoming a part of Deadlock canon. As regular viewers will know, this is the name we've been using for our fanbase since 2024. An incredible coincidence, or a little Easter egg from Valve? Who knows, but it's a very cool, unexpected detail. The second ability in her kit is called Grasping Hands. Unearth a line of Grasping Hands, dealing 90 spirit damage upon an enemy passing through them, and instantly immobilizing them. The damage scales with spirit at a rate of times 1.3 multiplier per spirit power. You can even alternate cast Grasping Hands to change the orientation of the line of Grasping Hands that comes out. The range of this is pretty staggering, with the option to effectively whip the hands down an entire lane if alt cast from one end of the lane to the other. It'll even deploy the grasping effect over verticality changes, providing some incredibly strong utility. Think McGinnis Wall without the blocking element and more versatility. The Immobilize itself lasts for a duration of 1.5 seconds. Overall, it has a pretty reasonably short cooldown, all things considered, and can be insanely powerful for clutch plays. It'll take a small period of time to prime where the hands pop up before they'll snare someone when activating. It'll trap both heroes and troopers alike, so it can be used for many types of delay tactics or engagements. You'll be able to see the safe zones of the Grasping Hands represented by these pillars on either side, so you know where to get around it from. When it comes to AP upgrades here, at Tier 1 you'll get 2 seconds of additional duration. Tier 2 will give you a bonus 0.75 seconds immobilized duration, and finally Tier 3 will grant a whopping plus 15 meters of wall length and reduce that cooldown by 10 seconds. Crazy stuff. Graves' third ability is Essence Theft. Now, this is an interesting one. Graves' third ability will cause her weapon to steal weapon damage and spirit resistance from the enemy it targets, draining them over time, building up slowly of a period of damage dealt. It has a hard cap maximum spirit resist it can steal per target, topping out at 10%. This means with 3 targets being stolen from, you'll reach your max at 45% spirit resistance. And a soft cap of 25% from Graves' max weapon damage that grows with spirit power at a rate of a 0.25 multiplier. It's able to steal from 3 targets maximum and takes 4 seconds to build up to the max amount of damage stolen. Ability point upgrades here are as follows. Tier 1 will grant 5% max spirit resistance stolen. Tier 2 will gain a 20% max weapon damage stolen increase. And finally, Tier 3 will allow your weapon to attach to one additional target, bringing it up to 2 total. Theory-wise, the wording here is key, because with Split Shot, Graves' weapon can technically attack and sap 6 different heroes at once, but you'll only get the stolen stat bonuses from a maximum of 3 of them. However, you'll see the stat debuff indicator display the proc of Essence Theft across all targets that Graves' weapon hits. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Without any AP investment, Graves' weapon will hit 1 target. With Tier 3 in Essence Theft, she can hit 2 targets at a time if they're grouped close enough together from her weapon. However, with Essence Theft maxed and Ricochet, you can deal extra damage on a tick of ricocheted damage, increasing it with 2 targets, causing 2 bounces of the Ricochet per tick it seems. This then goes even further when combined with Split Shot. Let's say you hit 6 targets, the amplification from Ricochet will hit even more, making her damage dealt from the weapon suddenly spike massively. So if someone tells you that Graves' weapon sucks, just try rushing Tier 3 in Essence Theft and picking yourself up Split Shot, then get Leech and Ricochet when you can, and then you won't think it's so weak anymore. Lastly then, let's get on to the grand finale, her ultimate. Her 4th ability is Borrowed Decree. Create a gravestone, spawning it at the targeted location. The gravestone summons ghouls over time. These ghouls will constantly rise and shamble forwards towards the enemy base for a duration of 20 seconds. However, it's more the 28 days later type of shamble, as they do move pretty fast. They'll have 200 HP per ghoul. The undead deal 40 melee damage with a 0.5 times spirit power growth, and explode on contact of an enemy hero or objective, dealing 150 spirit damage on detonation in a 6.5 meter radius area of effect. This damage scales at a 1.5 times multiplier with spirit power. They'll additionally cause a minus 80% move speed slow that lasts for 1.25 seconds. The ability point investment will really make this ultimate shine if you want to live the summoner fantasy. At Tier 1, you'll have your ultimate cooldown reduced by 20 seconds. Going into Tier 2, you'll gain plus 25% move speed on your ghouls and grant them additional 10-second life duration. Tier 3 is where it gets really good. You'll deal plus 5% max health damage from the detonation of your zombies and spawn 3 ghouls instantly on the ability cast. Basically, you're turning it into a sudden barrage of zombie bombs if a target is up close when you cast it. Now let's talk theory then. If you're playing against Graves, you can destroy the gravestone she spawns in by landing 2 heavy melee attacks. But of course that means fighting through the waves of undead that will instantly detonate upon spawning if you're unlucky enough to miss your time to dive in and attempt to destroy the gravestone. This can be problematic and feels like an odd choice of how to destroy the gravestones. In my experience going up against her whilst doing my research for today's showcase. However, from the point of view of playing Graves, I've found the versatility of this ability to be vast. If you need a sudden burst of damage, dropping the gravestone on top of a player that's attempting to 1v1 you can deal an incredible amount of sudden burst damage, especially if you have the Tier 3 AP investment unlocked. Or, if you'd like to shove out lanes on a base push, getting multiple Borrowed Decrees down with the use of Refresher can feel very overwhelming, and make it hard for the enemies to prioritize the right targets on a base or objective dive. Lastly, this ability can be very lucrative on a mid-boss fight, so if you're stepping into the sewers of the Cursed Apple, keep your ult off cooldown, and use it to cause absolute carnage. For a quick final hero overview then, Graves is strong. She can deal a lot of sudden burst damage, alongside having a unique but punishing weapon that can take a little bit of getting used to, but once mastered is incredibly powerful for harassing and movement-focused fights, where you stay latched onto your enemies but duke them, so that you can make yourself a hard target to hit. Combined with Split Shot and Ricochet, with some additional lifesteal like Leech and an inhibitor for good measure, you'll be causing some serious headaches for unsuspecting players. Additionally, Recharging Rush, one of the new gun items, is ludicrous on Graves, and should be an instant pickup in any build that you cook up, hands down. Echo Shard can also be your friend, and Refresher, although expensive, is worth it for clutch moments and the oppressive nature of stacking summons to overwhelm a team. All in all, Graves' kit offers multiple build paths, offering summoner-focused spirit gameplay, a drain tank gun DPS path, and much more. I found a lot of quirks and ways to approach the character over the games I've been lucky enough to play since her release, and recommend you giving her a go before jumping to conclusions about her kit and power level. Limit testing is a must. So with that said, get back out there and summon the undead. Thanks for watching, Deadheads. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you really enjoy mine and Daisy's Deadlock content here on Dead Air, please consider joining our members program and becoming a Deadhead today. And on that undead bombshell, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.